comments. I know that's all I've been doing. We ended up glycolysis with pyruvic acid. Keep in mind, glycolysis officially is anaerobic respiration. It's anaerobic because no air. And we talked about that, how the early Earth had no oxygen, and then lots of volcanic activity and photosynthesis produced oxygen, and then the aerobes took over. But glycolysis is anaerobic, and even though we are aerobic, we all still do glycolysis. Everybody does. And we get it, of course, from the anaerobic bacteria. And it must be really important because we never changed it. And that's usually an indicator of how important a thing is that over millions of years, does the pathway change or not? The less it changes, the more important it must be. And this never changes. So, at any rate, I don't think I did mention to you, so now finally new material. Glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm.
In the cytoplasm.
Now, of course, that's mostly because it started out with the bacteria, and the bacteria only have cytoplasm. They don't have a nucleus. They also don't have mitochondria. So once we produce pyruvic acid, anaerobic respiration ends. The pyruvic acid moves into the mitochondria. And from that point on, it's aerobic. So aerobic respiration begins now, but it started with anaerobic. Now, I do have to make the point, most bacteria are aerobic. Yeah, there are still some anaerobic bacteria that are around, but mostly bacteria are aerobic just like we are. But bacteria don't have mitochondria. So, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so you said that glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm?
Yes.
And what about the lactic acid? Stay outside?
Cytoplasm.
It stays in there until it's
Well, it has nowhere else to go. It stays in the cell, yeah.
until it starts to degenerate again? To make-
Well, no, the site of the lactic acid will change back into pyruvic acid. But that will be in the cytoplasm. The whole thing is cytoplasm.
I think I heard this before, that the lactic acid goes to the liver. And then
Exactly. I was skipping that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was skipping that. A little more stuff we want, but it is correct. It is correct. So anyhow, so for bacteria, everything occurs in the cytoplasm because that's all there is. There's no nucleus, and they don't have mitochondria. So for bacteria, everything's in the cytoplasm. But for everybody else in the world, all the eukaryotes, from this point on, everything is in the mitochondria. So just automatic. Okay, now notice that we are coming from the Embden-Meyerhof pathway. That is the official name for glycolysis. It's named after Mr. Embden and Mr. Meyerhof. I have to tell this little story. I mentioned to you before on some other occasion that after I got my degree, I went out to Germany for 2 years and did work. And once my German got good enough, then once I got good at all, I was able to start talking to people. It turned out that Meyerhof's grandson was working at the same place that I was, in the books and stuff. Anyhow, so back to this. So Embden-Meyerhof pathway is the official name. Glycolysis is universally used, so either one's fine. Notice once again, lactic acid is being put in there. It just always is. But notice lactic acid is going right back to being pyruvic acid. So lactic acid goes nowhere. It's a poison, makes our muscles hurt, but the molecule itself will sooner or later revert back into pyruvic acid. So we're going to start off with pyruvic acid. And pyruvic acid consists of a carboxyl group, a carbonyl, and a methyl group. do make sure you know the chemical groups. You run into them quite a bit this quarter. You're going to run into them again. We're doing lots of chemistry, and there'll be more coming. So, all quarter. So really, make sure you know these chemical groups. It just makes life easier for you later. At any rate, all of you have had glycolysis before somewhere else. You've had the Krebs cycle before somewhere else. But the part you may not have been told is that when pyruvic acid first enters into the mitochondria, it goes into what is called the transition step first. So you do glycolysis, you make pyruvic acid, and then the pyruvic acid goes into the transition step. The transition step has three parts to it. Part one, removal of hydrogen from the carboxyl. Removal of hydrogen. Now, if we remove hydrogen, what is being done to pyruvic acid in removing hydrogen?
Oxidize.
It's oxidation, exactly. See, we're back to those definitions. So removing hydrogen is oxidation. So pyruvic acid and or the carboxyl group has been oxidized. It's lost hydrogen. And then hydrogen, that same hydrogen is used to add to NAD, making NADH. That's a reduction step. So removing hydrogen is oxidation. Adding hydrogen is reduction. And reactions like that often happen together. I can't say they're instantaneously simultaneous. I can't say that, but very, very, very closely together. So it's called redox. Redox reactions are two reactions basically occurring at the same time. So in this case, taking hydrogen from carboxyl, from pyruvic acid, that's your oxidation. Adding it to NAD, that's your reduction. So redox reactions, which again are extremely common, are going to be those two reactions occurring essentially at the same time. So step one. Low battery. Remove hydrogen from carboxyl and then adding it to NAD. So together that's step one.
In the transition step.
This whole thing is transition step.
Right.
Step two, so I removed hydrogen here, so oxidation. Step two, removal of the rest of the carboxyl in the form of carbon dioxide. So we finally found a carbon dioxide. So the rest of the carboxyl comes off as carbon dioxide, and of course we exhale. We exhale carbon dioxide. So that leaves behind now a 2-carbon group, carbonyl plus methyl, otherwise known as acetyl group. Yes?
Sorry, third step was,
We haven't done the third step. Step one is removal of hydrogen, adding it to NAD, that's step one together. Step two, removal of the rest of the carboxyl in the form of carbon dioxide. So it leaves behind this 2-carbon group, the acetyl group. Now that does bring us to step three. Notice over here, coenzyme A. That SH that's there, co-ash, that SH that's there, for some reason the guy who did the chart really was excited that coenzyme A has sulfur in it. Why he cared less, I don't know. I couldn't care less. But that's what the SH is, so don't worry about it. Yeah, so coenzyme A. Now, I mentioned to you last week, coenzymes have a variety of functions. A variety of functions. We've seen one already, NAD is an electron carrier. Coenzyme A is not. Coenzyme A is a cargo carrier, so it is a carrier. It's not carrying electrons. What it does carry is acetyl. So step 3 is the formation of acetyl coenzyme A. And you can see it here. There's the acetyl group, the sulfur again, that I couldn't care less about, and then coenzyme A. And you'll hear me just say acetyl-CoA, acetyl-CoA, but acetyl coenzyme A. That's the third step, is the formation of acetyl-CoA. So the 3 steps of the transition step. Step 1, removal of the hydrogen, adding NAD, so together, a redox reaction, step 1. Step 2 is removal of the rest of the carboxyl in the form of carbon dioxide. And step 3 is the formation of acetyl-CoA. Again, the sulfur is of complete non-importance. So putting aside where do we go from here, any questions on the transition step before we move on? We've started with pyruvic acid, and we're ending right now with acetyl-CoA. Everybody, yeah,
Glycolysis,
glycolysis.
I think you said that the NAD will produce
3 ATPs.
somewhere else. Is this that same one to produce ATP?
It is.
Now?
Yes, you can see it.
Yeah, I know, but I mean like,
No, not the same NADH.
did it produce it then?
NADH and glycolysis, then we make 3 ATPs somewhere else some later time. And here's the chart that says 3 ATPs. Yes, this will also make 3 ATPs, but also somewhere else some later time. So actually for right now, we only have NADH. I saw another hand, yeah.
So is this the continuation of glycolysis, or is this something totally?
It's something totally different, but Frank, I'm going to give you a yes to both. It is a continuation because after all, glycolysis made pyruvic acid, and then we're using the pyruvic acid to keep going. But it's no longer glycolysis. It's a new pathway now. Transition step. It is the transition step. That's what it's called.
So how will that react to the whole previous glycolysis with this one?
This is the transition step. I can tell you want something else, but there isn't any. It's the transition step. The transition step leads. Well, we haven't gotten there yet. Kind of what you just said. So for right now, we've done the transition step.
Does something have to be present?
I'm sorry.
Does some molecule have to be present for it to go into the transition step?
Enzymes. Yeah. I'm skipping the enzyme part, but all of this is